Hello viewers, welcome back to another boring episode. And at the moment I am logged in VMS in my VAX 4300. And this video is part 2 of the video of building a real VAX cluster. In the last video I've solved the hardware issues with my VAX 4200 and connected both machines together. And in this video I will add the VAX 4200 to the cluster which is installed on the VAX 4300. Before I will do that, I will have a look on the pre-installed cluster where only the VAX 4300 is left. I showed you a picture in my first video of the VAX 4300 cluster, which consists of two VAX 4300s and two expanders. But there was more machines, so the cluster were bigger, and let's have a look at the machine and what we can find out about the cluster. And therefore I've made some ugly Microsoft Paint arts, and this here is the configuration of the original VAX 4300 cluster. So you can see both machines and both expanders, and they are connected via DSSI with 4 cables and via Ethernet. And now let's have a look on the machine to find something more. So I'm logged in at the machine DBS1, and first I want to have a list of the devices to find out the name of the disks where the boot images are located. And this device is called DEI3. And I will set the default folder to the root folder of the device DEI3, and the root folder is named with 6 zeros. And now you can see the content of the root folder. In general, I will follow the protocol of the video of digital diggings. I will link that video below, where you can see how a cluster will be set up in a different way. But this VMS version is a bit different to his version, but in general it's the same procedure here. So we will see some folders, and the interesting folders are called this, and then is a number, and then .dir. And the folder this0.dir is the main folder where the machine DBS1 is booting from, and there are some other folders, this 1, this 10, this 11, this 12, 13, and so on. And first, it's interesting what these boot images are. So you can see there were different machines that booted from that hard drive. So now you can see the list of the known nodes. This is a picture from the later installation process, because I did a small mistake in the installation process, so you will see that picture later as well. And here you can see all the nodes of the network, and not all of these machines are VAX machines. I think the 10.3 and 10.4, the SAP1, SAP2, were 2 alpha machines, because the company had 2 alpha machines for the software SAP. And there were also some PCs which are running Passworks as well, and also some other machines. So now I will concentrate on the machines that are booted from the VAX 4300 cluster. And you can see the machines with the ID 11, 12, 13, 16, and 401. And these machines you can see here. So I think this is the VAX cluster architecture with the satellites. For most of the machines, I don't really know what kind of machines they are, so there is a generic symbol for these VAXes. Only the machine VXL1 was a VAX station, because I can see the license in the license database, and it's a type D license. And I've also got some manuals for VAX station 3100, but I don't own a VAX station 3100, so I think this could be a VAX version 3100. But from the license perspective, and I will tell you about license in another video later, there's also some odd thing, because there is a really big license installed on DBS1. It's what installed in 1994. So I think in the cluster were some kind of really big VAX, maybe VAX 6000, something like that. installed, because there is general you need one license with 100 points for VAX 4300, but there's as well a license with 800 points, so it seems to be a really big kind of license. I don't know really what license is, but I've also got a manual of a VAX 6000, but I do not own a VAX 6000, so I think there could be a VAX 6000 in that cluster as well. But most of the machines did not exist anymore. The machine DBS1 is my machine, and most of the other machines are scrapped 20 years ago or a long time ago. Except one machine. This is the machine DBS2, because I've got a mail from one of my viewers, and later I realized that he bought the machine DBS2, so the machine DBS2 still exists at the moment, and I know that the expanders did not exist anymore, because 20 years ago no one wants to buy those expanders, so the expanders were definitely scrapped. One of my spare power supply came from one of that machines, but the hard drives from the expanders went to the both VAX machines, so the hard drives also still exists. So from now, this is the view to the past from that machine. So let's have a look at the current state. This is the current state of my personal cluster. You can see the VAX 4300 and the VAX 4200, and they are connected via DSSI and also via Ethernet. And now what's my total plan of my cluster, which I want to build in the future, is this one. Though I have in total 5 machines. The VAXserver 3100 you have seen in another video. I try to rebuild it at the moment, but I've own also 2 VAX stations. I will do several videos for both machines in the future, and one is a VAX station 4000 VLC and a VAX station 2000. And the VAX station 4000 VLC is a machine you can see in my intro, and it's perfectly working. And I think I will try to boot it as a satellite from the VAX 4000 cluster. So I will use it as the old machine, which is called VXL1, and I will stay in the naming scheme of the original cluster. So I will call my second VAX station as VXL2. Back to VMS, and let's start the cluster config to add another node to the cluster. So we want to choose one to add another node, and I will call the new machine DBS3. So enter the name, and then I will enter the DECnet address, and first I've entered 10.3, which was a mistake, we'll see later. It won't be a satellite, and here I entered it won't be a boot server, but it will be a boot server, but I will do this step again. Then I have to enter the name of the device, the system root device. I chose the what VMS sync would be the right name, so I hit enter. And then I will enter the name of the folder, so it will be this too, and then it will create the node, and then I will ask if it will be a disk server, said no, and that the allocation class is will be 1, and the cluster has a quorum disk, so yes. The device name is DIA2 for the quorum disk, and then updating the network system, and you can see there is already a node 10.3 SAP1, so it failed. I failed to add the cluster. From now on, I repeated that step and tried the network address 10.13, but it failed as well. And then it came to my mind that I can check the list of the known nodes to see which DECnet address is available. And there is the list you've seen at the beginning of the video. And after that, I chose the DECnet address 10.5 for the new node DBS3. After that, I've repeated the whole process with the DECnet node ID 10.5. Now it worked. The network database is created successful, and I will ask to size of the page file and the swap file, and adding some more parameters and where the page and swap file is located. The original cluster had a separate disk for the page and swap file. It's the reason why DBS1 started with non-page and non-swap file mode, but I will store the page and swap file for DBS3 on the system disk, so this machine can run with page and swap files correctly. And now the node is successfully created and added to the cluster database, and the first step on the cluster is finished, and we can switch over to the VAX 4200, and you can see here there is a folder created called this2.dir. Now we see the interface or the prompt of the machine DBS2, and we have to boot from the disk. It's called the DUA3 here, but it doesn't matter that the naming of the disks are different than on the VAX 4300. VMS can handle that. And I've added a parameter to the boot process, a 2 with 7 zeros, that defines that it will boot from the folder this2. And it's very important to add the 7 zeros because I forget it later, and it took me a while to find out why the machine does not boot properly. And now we see that the machine will boot OpenVMS for VAX version 6.1, and it tries to access the quorum disk. And later on we will see a prompt for date and time. There is the prompt, and I've made a little mistake. I've entered the wrong year, and it doesn't matter because after the first reboot the machine gets the correct date and time from the cluster. But now it sends a message to the cluster, and the machine DBS1 responds and said, yeah, here is the cluster, it exists. And it added another cluster, this machine DBS2, to the running cluster. And now the machine DBS3 is a member of the cluster. After that, there will be several configuration things going on, and it takes a while, though will be fast forward from now on until my next comment. And the machine did a restart, and after that it asks me from what device I will boot. And first I've entered DUA3 without any another parameter. This is a mistake because now it tries to start from this zero folder, and this is a folder for the machine DBS1. And after a while, I realized that I've entered the wrong disk, and I've the right disk, but with the wrong parameter, and I have to run to the machine and press the hold button or the restart button. Now it's press the restart button, and the whole machine restarts. And after that, I could enter the boot command with the right boot parameter. Now we can log on to the machine with the system account, and first we can enter the show license command to see which license are necessary for that machine, and it's the same like in one of my previous videos, because it's the VAX 4200. You can see I need type A and type C licenses, and I did not have that. For that reason, I've installed a small script. Also, from a video from Digital Diggings, I will tell about that script in another video about licensing. And with this script, I'm able to change the CPU model ID. I will fast forward the video in a few seconds, but you will see my mistake with the boot parameter, and it took me a while, I think about an hour, to solve that issue, because I thought maybe it is a quota issue or something like that, because you have to change the quota of the quorum disk if you have multiple systems in your cluster. But this system was before a dual host system, so the quota is okay for 2 systems. I have to change it if I will add a third system, but that's not the case at the moment. Now the machine is booted correctly, and we can enter the system password and username as well. And now we can enter the show license command as well, and we can see now the requirements has changed to type B requirements, and the system is detected as a VAXserver 4200 with a different hardware model type. And now I'm in the license utility, and we'll have a look what license is loaded. And if I enter the VAXVMS name, I want to see it brief, we can see there is correct loaded 100 unit license on that machine. So the license thing is still working. The last step I want to do this video is the configuration of TCP/IP, because that machine needs to set a proper IP address, and therefore I will enter the correct IP address. Therefore, the reason is I can access via telnet after I've set a correct IP address, but you have to restart the machine after the configuration. So we are going to the configuration. Don't want to go into the VAXserver configuration, so you have to restart the configuration and want to configure the interface. And you need also a license for TCP/IP. It's called UCX, but the cluster license database is cluster-wide, and I have enough UCX licenses in the cluster. So this is the interface configuration, and the interface is called .e0. And the username will be dbs3, also in TCP/IP, and I will enter the IP address for that machine. That will be that one with 23 at the end. You can also add another addresses, but I don't want to do that at the moment. And if everything is correct, I can answer yes, and TCP/IP is configured for that machine. You can also set a cluster-wide address for the whole cluster, but at the moment I don't want to do that. So you can see the server components which are enabled, and you can see the telnet server is enabled. So after restart, you're able to access the machine via telnet. So that's the end of that episode. I hope you find this interesting, and leave comments below, and thanks for watching.